good morning. Welcome. This is our 11 a.m. Carb Smart class here online. My name is Melissa. I'm HealthRose registered dietitian and personal trainer. I'm so glad to be with you here this morning. Got some great info to share with you today. I see a few people are already watching. Yay, welcome. So glad if you're watching live. I see Linda on there. Hi. Thank you for watching live, or if you're watching the recorded version later on, I'm so glad you're here for that too. Well, welcome. Today, this is our Carb Smart class. So carbohydrates are the main focus, but we're taking it a little bit further and we're talking about heart health this month for American Heart Month. So today we're talking about choosing the right carbohydrates for your best heart health. So I've got some show and tell again this week. Let's get to it. I've got my notes, so that's why I'm looking down, just so I stay on track in case you're wondering. All right, so there are countless options of carbohydrate foods available to us these days, and new varieties that are coming out every day, it seems like. That makes it very difficult to decipher which ones are healthy, which ones we should avoid, or somewhere in between. For overall health, and more specifically for heart health, as we're talking about today, it can be really difficult to figure out. So thankfully, we actually do have consistent scientific research that can point us toward the types of carbohydrates that are best for our heart health as well as our overall health. Quality does matter when it comes to carbohydrates, as we will discuss here soon. Contrary to the popular belief, the type of carbohydrate in the food is a very important factor, is perhaps the most important factor, more so than the amount of carbohydrate that you eat. So for heart health, the healthier types of carbs are those that are unprocessed or minimally processed, meaning they are closest to their original form, their whole form. And they also contain fiber. So those food groups would be the whole grains, beans and legumes, fruits and vegetables, as well as nuts. They have a little bit of carbohydrate in them too. The fewer ingredients, the better. On the other hand, more about this actually. I do teach an entire class on fiber, by the way, but I'll keep it brief today about fiber. I just wanted to mention some specifics on that of why fiber and this group of foods is the healthier side of foods for our heart health. So fiber is only found in plant foods. It is not found in animal-based foods. So the plant foods, like I mentioned, whole grains, beans, legumes, vegetables, fruits, and nuts, that is where fiber is found. Not in meat, fish, eggs, dairy, what am I forgetting? Butter. There's no fiber in those. And one of the main reasons that the fiber found in the plant foods is good for our heart health is that it helps to lower our cholesterol levels. There's different types of fiber, and one of them especially can actually help collect the cholesterol in our body and remove it in the waste. Healthy carbs can help prevent heart disease, according to a lot of research. So that's what we want to focus on. Now, on the other hand, the unhealthier types of carbohydrates for our heart health are ones that are highly processed or refined, such as white bread, pastries, soda, and we'll talk more specifics here in a moment. But in general, these types of refined, more processed carbohydrates should be less frequent in your diet, with some being avoided completely if at all possible. Highly processed carbohydrates and added sugars can increase your triglycerides, something that we do see a lot of, high triglycerides. That is a component of our blood, by the way, that we want to be low. And in general, the refined carbohydrates and sugars can increase your risk of heart disease overall, according to many research studies. So let's talk more specifically about some of the different categories of carbohydrates and what you should choose within each category. let's get into it. First, we're going to talk about the grain category. So I've got a few examples out here this morning, and with grains, so we're talking about oats and barley and that sort of thing, things made with grains, flour, that sort of category. You want to choose more of the foods, as I said before, that are less processed, so the ingredient list is the smallest. For example, when we look at a bag of oats, just rolled oats from Trader Joe's, the only ingredient listed on here is whole grain rolled oats. One ingredient, it's exactly what the food is, and that is great. You want to be looking for foods like that. Oats are a great choice. Brown rice is a great choice, or wild rice, purple rice, black rice, whatever they have these days. I said oats, quinoa, barley, bulgur wheat. That's not a very popular one these days. Bulgur wheat is what tabbouleh is made out of. Fun fact. Popcorn is actually a whole grain as well. And then when we get into sort of more of the slightly processed realm of this, but still healthy, is the 100% whole grain or whole wheat bread, 100% whole grain or whole wheat pasta. So like this, whole wheat pasta. The only ingredient in this is organic Durum whole wheat semolina. It is just a whole wheat flour in this pasta. So that would be a great choice. 100% whole grain, dry cereal, cold cereals. So this one is one that my husband likes to eat all the time. It's the only cereal we have in our house, actually. So this one would be an example of one that is primarily whole grains. It does obviously have, you can't read that, but you can see it has a longer list of ingredients. However, I do believe that the only grains in it are whole grains, at least. And you can see on the side, we have a whole bread category, that class that I teach, but where I talk about this. But this is the whole grain stamp, and it says that greater than 50% of the grains in this cereal are whole grains. So something like that would be a good choice. You can look for that little stamp. There are different types, so look for one that's 50% or more. Okay. And also whole grain crackers, that sort of thing, those do exist in the world, so looking for those. And then the things that we want to choose less of would be those made with white flour, white grain, so white bread, for example. And again, I teach an entire class on bread because it can be a confusing topic. Breads can say that they are multi-grain. That doesn't mean that they have any whole grains in them at all, actually. They could be multi-grains of all grains that are refined. So you do want to make sure you read your labels and find breads that are not just refined grains or enriched wheat. You want to make sure that they say whole grain something, okay? White rice, this also falls into the category of the refined type of grains. Unfortunately, I know we all love white rice more than brown rice typically, but brown rice is the whole version of rice. It contains the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. It contains all of that, and white rice has the bran and the germ, I think, removed. So you're just left with the endosperm, which is the lovely white, delicious, tasty part. However, it doesn't have as much nutrition, fiber as the brown rice does. Other options, of course, the choose less versions of food would be just the white pasta, the standard regular pastas. This is durum wheat semolina. That's the only ingredient in it, but it is not a whole grain or a whole wheat semolina. So this one will be a less healthy choice than this one for heart health and for overall health. You want that whole wheat, whole grain. Also, pastries, cookies, cakes, any of those baked items that are made with white flour. I guess I could have gotten my bags of flour out to show you. All-purpose or the unbleached all-purpose white flour It is made from wheat, yes, but it is refined, it is white, and it has had a lot of the nutrients stripped away from it that are good for our heart health. So on the other hand, if you're baking with things using whole wheat flour or whole wheat pastry flour, that's just a smaller grain of it, it's broken down more finely, or even a white whole wheat flour, as confusing as that sounds, white whole wheat flour is a whole grain. It's just like whole wheat flour. It is made from a slightly different type of wheat, which isn't as coarse. So if you're trying to make something, baking something that you, whole wheat flour does make relatively hearty products if you've ever baked with it. And so sometimes using white whole wheat flour is a better option because it acts slightly more like an all-purpose flour. And Lori just had a question. What about, I think you said quinoa. I can't read that. Quinoa, yes. Yes, I briefly blew past quinoa. I think I mentioned it. So yes, quinoa is another great option within the choose more good, hearty, healthy, heart healthy carbohydrate grain realm. Quinoa, great choice. I myself don't love quinoa, so I don't even have some in the house. But quinoa is a healthy, great choice for overall health as well as heart health. Thank you for that question, Lori. Yes. Anyway, back to the flour. Choosing a whole wheat, white whole wheat, or regular whole wheat, or whole wheat pastry flour is a better choice for baking stuff than all-purpose flour. Or even if you were to do half and half, 50-50 of each, that would be a better choice than doing just all of the all-purpose flour. All right, next category. Oh, by the way, definitely feel free to ask me questions. I love questions during classes. I love that you're paying attention. All right, so the next category is tubers, potatoes, basically. So choose more of potatoes, or especially sweet potatoes. The ones that are richer, deeper colors are going to have more nutrients in them. And when you eat potatoes, eat them with the skin. You get a lot more of the fiber and nutrition, the nutrients from the skin, rather than just only eating the inside, especially when it comes to potatoes, because the insides are white, lighter in color. The deeper, richer color, like the orange sweet potatoes or yams, or even the purple potatoes, purple yams, the deeper, richer colors are going to have more antioxidants, more nutrients in them than the whiter colored versions of them. Antioxidants are great for our bodies. They help prevent cancer in our bodies. So always great to be eating a lot of antioxidants. Side note, we're not talking about cancer today, but it is important to mention. So more of those whole tubers that you have to clean all the dirt off of it before you eat them, those are great. And then choosing less of the potato products. We all know what potato products are, right? We got our tater tots. They call them potato tots at Trader Joe's, but the tater tots, the hash browns, and the potato, what am I trying to think of, like pancakes. Those types of frozen potato products that have other stuff added into them, we want to be choosing less of those. For example, these guys, they're not the worst things in the world, this particular brand. Some of them can have quite a bit of crazy stuff added to them. But this does have vegetable oil added to it, and salt, and dextrose, and citric acid. It's just vitamin C. But it has oil and salt and sugar, the dextrose, all added to it, when really it would be much healthier to eat a plain baked, boiled, steamed potato. All right, also within that realm, very, very popular potato chips. Those would be the choose less option. There are a huge range of potato chips that we have to choose from these days. So some are healthier than others, meaning they're baked, or they have a healthy oil that they use with them. But still, in the spectrum of things. Those should be more towards a choose less option than a whole sweet potato or regular potato. Next category we're talking about, one of my favorites, is beans and legumes. Always encouraging people to eat more from this category, more beans, more legumes. Start off small, maybe a quarter cup a day, and work yourself up. Consistently eating a small amount will get you more used to them, so you don't have as much GI distress, I guess we'll call it, gas, bloating, that sort of thing. Starting off small and having some every day or every other day and increasing slowly will help minimize any of the GI symptoms that you may have. All right, so choose more of all types of beans and legumes, but ones that canned is great, or if you want to cook your own, so these are dry lentils, or if you want to do the cans, getting some that are lower in sodium. Any type of bean or legume is great, okay? As long as it is not super, super high in sodium if it's canned, or if it is, you can rinse off the canned beans and then drain those and they'll be lower in sodium, but every type of bean and legume, dry or canned, okay? Except the ones that we do want to choose less of would be like the canned baked beans. Those are gonna have sugar, probably more salt, but definitely sugar added to them, whether it's molasses or brown sugar or regular white sugar. That is gonna have more of those added sugars, refined carbohydrates in them, and that's not what we want. So the plain beans would be a better choice than the canned baked beans. Or if there's refried beans made with animal fat, I would recommend getting some that are vegetarian or fat-free. They definitely sell those in most stores these days. So look at the label to make sure that it's not made with animal fat. The animal fat isn't great for our heart health. That's where we get a lot of saturated fat from, and keeping our saturated fat to a minimum is ideal for our heart health, okay? But other than that, really go crazy with any types of beans and legumes. All right, next category, vegetables. We all know about our vegetables, so anything fresh or frozen, and that has a little asterisk next to it. I'll touch on that in a minute. But fresh or frozen vegetables, all of them are great. So whether it's raw carrots that you love, many people actually come in and say, oh, I didn't eat carrots because I thought they were really high in sugar. They're really not. So feel free, eat your carrots, or you can eat, your zucchini or your frozen broccoli, whatever it is. Any and all any and all vegetables are great. Now, the asterisk to that is if the frozen vegetable has a butter sauce or a different type of cream sauce that's in it, because there's a lot of those these days, like Green Giant has some that have sauces added into them in the frozen bag, and you just microwave it and it's broccoli with cheese sauce. Those would be the ones that you want to choose less of, and you want to choose more of just plain frozen broccoli or green beans or whatever it is that you want. Canned vegetables, I tend to caution against. They typically have quite a bit of sodium in them. I do think there are some that you can find that are salt-free, but typically canned vegetables have a lot of sodium added to them, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend those. Also things like veggie chips, so that kind of falls into our potato chip category. There are like beet chips and sweet potato chips and parsnip chips, all those. They are still fried. They are vegetable, but they are fried, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend eating a lot of those. Or those veggie straws, that's like, it's like a Cheeto, but green. Less of those too. Or fried vegetables, so like tempura vegetables from a sushi restaurant. The vegetable inside is good, but it's battered with extra carbohydrates and fat from the oil it's fried in. Those would be a less good choice. V8 juice, I tend to caution people against drinking a lot of V8 juice. I think there are low sodium versions, but typically V8 juice is very high in sodium. I would rather have you eat a tomato than drink a V8 juice. And then condensed vegetable cream soups. I would also lean a little bit away from those two. They're cream soups, and they like Campbell's mushroom, cream of celery, cream of broccoli. Those ones have cream in them, as you would imagine, because of the cream of broccoli name. So the cream is going to be adding extra saturated fat, extra those animal fats that aren't necessarily good for our heart health, as well as quite a bit of sodium. Next category, we've just got 2 more categories to go. The next one is fruit. You may have guessed that one. We're talking about vegetables. Now we're talking about fruit. So same story as the vegetables. Anything fresh, anything frozen, a variety, whatever fruits you want to choose, wonderful. Please eat all the fruits, all the vegetables that are fresh and frozen. So whether it's fresh blueberries or oranges off of your tree, bananas, apples, strawberries, they're all great for us. Do make sure that when you're buying frozen fruit, a great choice because it lasts longer. You can use it for smoothies or whatever else. Do make sure it doesn't have any added sugar in it. The ingredient should only be fresh strawberries or fresh mango. It should only be that, no sugar, nothing else in the ingredients, okay? Those types of fruit products in the choose less category would also be fruit juice, actually. I caution people against drinking a lot of fruit juice. While it may seem healthy, it is from a fruit. It does not have any of the fiber that you get from a whole piece of fruit, and that fiber is very important. My nose started running, sorry about that. Fruit juice has no fiber, and actually fruit juice can increase our triglyceride levels, which I talked about at the beginning of class. Triglycerides that we want to keep low, fruit juice actually can influence that, and we don't want that. I would rather have people eat a whole piece of fruit. You will feel more satisfied than if you drank the equivalent calories in juice. Or dried fruit. Dried fruit can be a good option, can be in the good category, the healthier category. However, a lot of dried fruit does tend to be processed with sugar. So you want to make sure that when you look at the package of dried fruit, it only is the dried fruit. So for example, at Trader Joe's, they have mango, and they have some mango that is, I don't remember the exact wording on the package, but it's like just mango or only mango, whatever it says. That's all that it is. It's just dried mango. And then they have dried mango that has sugar, that has a lot of extra sugar because it helps make it taste sweeter and wonderful and nice. And we don't want to be choosing that type of dried fruit as much. We don't want all that added sugar. Fruit has plenty of sugar and tastes sweet. So try to avoid the dried fruit that has that to it. Canned fruit. Once in a while you can find some canned fruit that's only canned in like water, but typically it's more in like a syrup or a thicker juice, and again, it's just adding more of the added sugar, and it's better to choose a whole piece of fruit, a fresh piece of fruit, than to have like a fruit cocktail cup of the canned fruit. Fruit snacks, I don't have any. My husband likes fruit snacks, but we're all out of them. We threw them away. He hasn't been eating them. So fruit snacks, again, they're shaped like fruit. They kind of taste like fruit. They're not real fruit, okay? They may say made with whole fruit or made with real fruit on them, but again, a bunch of added sugar. And then into the jams and jellies category. I didn't bring one of those out of the cupboard, but jams and jellies. So you can get, in general, every jam and jelly is going to have sugar added to it. It is. Unless it's the sugar-free type, and that has a sugar alcohol or a artificial sugar added to it, like Splenda or aspartame or stevia. It'll have something like that added into it, which I don't necessarily recommend eating a lot of either. So jams and jellies, we don't want to be eating tons of them because they do have that added sugar component. Small amount is not the end of the world, so, since it is a lot of fruit, but within moderation on that one. Our last category is the other category, and there's really no food within this that is choose more. We've kind of covered all of that. So most of this is the choose less of for our best heart health and just general health. So soda, regular soda or the diet soda, really none of that is going to be great for our health, our heart health, especially regular soda that has tons of added sugar in it. Same story with energy drinks, Monster, Red Bull, those sort of drinks. Not great for our heart health with the sugar, and also they have a huge hit of caffeine, which generally most of us don't need to be having every day. Increases the heart rate and all sorts of things. We don't really need to be doing those heavy energy drinks. Along with the drink category, those blended coffee or tea drinks that you might get from Starbucks, those things have so much sugar added into them. I should have gotten an actual example of this one, but some of them have 50, 60, 70 grams of sugar in a 10, 12 ounce drink, which is outrageous. So less of those. Don't have added sugars in your coffee or tea drinks. And then just the rest of the dessert realm. So candies or chocolates, like little M&Ms have sugar. This is dark chocolate, so it does have less sugar in it perhaps than a milk or a white chocolate would. But in one of these bars, it still has 18 grams of sugar, which is quite a bit, fair amount of sugar. Typically kind of more of like 24 to 30 grams of added sugar or less a day is what we really want to stay below, and that is almost to that goal, or that threshold, I guess I should say. Ice cream as well, cakes, pies, cookies, but an ice cream is also notoriously super high in sugar. One category I didn't talk about in here that I'm realizing now is dairy. Now, dairy does have natural sugar in it, lactose, that is a natural dairy sugar. And that one is not classified as an added sugar. It would be like the fructose that's in fruit. It's a natural sugar. However, if you're getting a flavored milk, that's going to have sugar added into it, or yogurt. Or yogurt. Yogurt is going to have tons and tons of added sugar in it. If it's like a regular fruit flavored or whatever flavored yogurt, you really have to be careful with those. So a Greek yogurt is a better choice within the yogurt realm, or a light yogurt, or even a plain, whether it's Greek yogurt or just a regular yogurt, plain, and then you add your own fruit, cinnamon, whatever flavorings to it. So in general, dairy is a natural sugar, but ice cream and yogurt are really the ones to watch out for, okay? I think now I've gone through all the categories. So it's not to say that you can never eat any of the foods that I've said should be in the choose less of. That's why I said choose less, not choose never, because life must be lived. Food can be part of an enriched life. You know, we enjoy eating food, especially the special ones. However, for your best heart health, it is really important to be mindful of the types of foods that you are eating, and to have the choose less foods, have them on special occasions only, not an everyday type of thing. Choose less, not never, but primarily choose more from the whole grain, whole food, plant type of carbohydrates. I think we covered it all. Thank you everyone for watching. We have quite a few people on here this morning, which is really exciting for the live version. So glad you all joined me. Let me know if you have any questions. You can type them in even after the video finishes. I'm happy to answer any questions, hear any feedback. Otherwise, I will see you right back here next month for our Carb Smart class. And I'll see you here tomorrow for strength training and deep stretch. Bye everyone.